Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Live on Saturday. Looking at the weather, it looks like there may be good chances of showers all next week, which will which will break the drought we're in right now. But anyway, so last night our movie was Friday night movie. We have a dessert, friends over for a movie. Was Catch Me If You Can, and with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, and a beautiful little movie. And you should remember it. I think it's old enough so that most of us probably have seen it, maybe forgotten it, and it's good the second time around. And basically, it's the story of a teenager, Frank Abagnale, whose his father got ruined by went bankrupt and was hounded by the IRS. Then they lost everything, and they got divorced. So the kid's family divided. So he set out to restore his father's honor, to restore his family, to restore unity. And he seemed to have this skill or ability to assume identity. Well, first he started off cashing bad checks, and basically it's the art of making the person believe that you are legitimate. And then he became a Pan Am pilot, a doctor, and an attorney general. Was getting married to the daughter of a big politician, a lawyer, and all that before he was 21. And but he was hounded, like in Dostoevsky, was that Crime and Punishment? Hounded by this detective, by an FBI fraud agent, doggedly hounded. And they began to be a little bond between them. Catch me if you can. So he would even leave surprises, and they would always get away just by the skin of his teeth. And finally, he fled to Europe, where he was cashing checks on a large scale. And he finally caught him, and the FBI agent brought him back to the United States, extradited him, and he spent 12 years in prison. But they released him from prison in order for him to work for the FBI and help them solve fraudulent checks. And so then the story ends with him living happily somewhere with married and kids, and working as a bank fraud expert. And so anyway, but the story, as is my tendency, I see the metaphorical implications. And so I asked the question, well, since I'm a supreme narcissist, what is the meaning of this for me? What is it the meaning? What is the meaning here? What is it? What about me? What about me? The movie's about that and this and that, but what about me? So, what about me? Well, metaphorically now, take the leap with me from the objective, there is the story, to the subjective. And how do they come together? Well, basically the formula of the movie is that the kid's world, his family, was split, was divided, divorce. Okay. So there is this wound in the psyche when the world is split, like when you learn Santa Claus isn't real, or but see, the child's world is whole, and suddenly, and this is why divorce is so devastating, is that the two opposites that were in union are now fighting each other. And so this has an external meaning, actually just people fighting and all that, getting, going their own ways. But it has a psychic internal meaning too, in that my psyche, my soul is divided, you see. So this divorce you see, comes out, like this. So you have the father and the mother here, male and female, opposites. These two forces of the cosmos, these two energies, these two ascending and descending energies. We've talked about that. When they are separated, when they are split, nothing works. There's no creativity. Creativity happens when they work together, like Fred and Ginger Rogers, you see. So when mom and dad get together, it's creative. The universe is born. We're born, you see. So this has physical manifestations and mental and spiritual dimensions to it. So this is why I love the metaphor, because it can move us into a higher dimension than just it's about physical people or history or about a story about some kid who was good at identity theft. In other words, what about me? So we're all should be narcissistic in that way. And what does it mean for me? Who am I? And so when we flip to the narcissist, when we flip to the subjective, what about me, takes on a different dimension. So now, what is my wound? Where is my pain? Where is my division? And what am I doing to transcend it? So Frank Abagnale basically transcended the, and during the whole movie, he was buying his father. He was trying to redeem his father, and saying, "Go here's a Cadillac. Go, I bought you a Cadillac, Dad. Go home and pick up Mom and take her for a drive." You see, so he was always trying to get the world back together. He was always trying to heal the wound through his creative acts. So every one of these new identities was just hang with me. I'm trying to explain this to myself as I talk. You see, but you got the here. All right, so you got the yin yang, pairs of opposites. So this is the split. You see, so when the split happens, you got the okay, there's this split in the yin yang, and this is this jagged wound, you see, that divides the whole into two incompatible and two parts that are not working together anymore. So when this happens, and this happens all the time, because this is always going on, in that, well, just in your household, all the bills are paid. Oh, damn, the washing machine broke, or I got to call the plumber. So there's always this little wound, this little break in what we think is, oh no, you see, this is constantly going on. So this creates, this tension here creates the single idea that transcends but includes the two opposites. So you restore unity through creativity in big and little ways. So our friend Frank, our kid here, he did all this before he was 21, would create a new identity in which he tried to heal the wound in himself and in his parents. So this was it was an evolution. So he would go from he would create the doctor, and then that broke up. The FBI guy got close. Then he would create he created the Pan Am. He created the airplane pilot, and then he created the doctor, MD, and then that broke up. And then he created the lawyer, and then that broke up. And then he went to France, you see, and got caught. But anyway, all of these identities were single ideas that united, that healed the wound. And they were actually failed attempts. each new idea, he thought he would come home. Oh, Dad, guess what? I'm a lawyer now. We can do this, and I can get you this, and yada, yada, you see. But then finally, after the lawyer, here, his father died. Boom, right? And that was the end. When his father died, there was no more wound, in the sense there was no way for him to heal the wound and repair his family. So this, you see, was happening on two different levels here. There was the actual divorce of his family that he was trying to restore through money and success and these new identities, you see. And there was also his own inner wound, the internal wound or divorce that he was trying to heal by creating new selves, you see. And so the other dimension is catch me if you can. So in a sense, we are all creating an identity and believing it so perfectly that we forget we created it. So that's how I bring this into my own life. Who is this Ed Connolly? This identity that I think I am, that I believe I am, you see, I believe it so perfectly that I convince everyone else that I'm this, you see. But there's something dogging me. There's something hounding me. There's something that wants to catch me in the act of acting, that wants to catch me in the act of believing I'm this character. So I want to be caught. I want to be caught. And yet I don't want to be caught. I can't stop myself. So who is the FBI agent, you see? Who is the FBI agent? Is it God? The self? The higher self? The whole self, you see? If this is my split self between me and the world, you see, I'm here and the world is there, and we're split because the world's always coming up and screwing around with me and making things fall apart, and so this is a war. My character, me, you see here, and the world is it, you see. We're at odds. We're divorced, you see, and so I want to heal this, and yet I'm identified with this character who is separate from the world. So there's this mysterious, enigmatic wholeness or perfection or oneness that I know exists that keeps calling me to create new attempts, new efforts to heal the wound, you see, by creating new me's. So there was Eddie, my little me that was in my household. They call me Eddie. And that me was split terribly. And so I began to study, studied Thomas Merton. And so all of the different studies that I went into were attempts to create or to heal the catch between me. So then I became a yogi. I practiced yoga. That would be, and so I began to be a vegetarian, and I was a yogi and all that. So that was like being the Pan Am pilot. You see, I'm going to fly to foreign places and have enlightenment and all that. You see, I'm a great yogi. And then that fell apart, and then I became a disciple of a meditation leader for Swami Muktananda in Cleveland, and now I identified as a meditation leader, and I was ordained or confirmed by Muktananda in the sense that he had meditation centers. You didn't have to do anything. In other words, I was now a meditation leader, and then Muktananda died, and that fell apart, and so then I became there was a point where I had no identity. Then I got a job as a courier, as a writer for the newspaper. Now I'm a newspaper man, I'm a writer, you see, and so I believed in that, and everybody believed I was that. And then when that fell apart, I became a photographer, and I ran a photography studio, and everybody believed that, and I believed that, and then that dried up during the recession, and I started becoming a yoga teacher, and I wanted to be opened up a yoga studio, and I was a yoga teacher, and everybody believed that, and I believed that, you see, and then that fell apart. Now I'm a Facebook talker, and everybody believes that. Catch me if you can. Catch me if you can. So if we look at it from that way, we're all Frank Abagnale running from the FBI. In this sense, playing the game of catch me, make me aware if you can, make me realized if you can, make me see the illusion of all this, make me see the game of it, make me awake. You see, catch me if you can. Catch me if you can, you see. Isn't that interesting? So this is kind of like the way you metaphorically make the shift in a movie like this, where you say basically, je suis Frank Abagnale. You see, I am Frank Abagnale. So when you can say, or whatever movie you're watching, Avatar, I am, je suis Jake Sully. You see? So that shift from there is it, the movie's it, you see, and I'm here, that's the split. But when you can see through and through, je suis Frank Abagnale. Catch me if you can. You see, that shifts everything. So now you are the movie and the movie is you. You are the world and the world is you. You see, and so then the movies, these movies are gurus, are wisdom teachings. The movie's a Zen master. The movie's a guru. The movie is a wise teacher. But you can't get the wisdom from the movie until you become the movie. And you can't really, and this really has to be kind of like an awakening in the sense as I talk about this, and I bring this to you in a dialogue. I call them insight dialogues. So I bring this to you in a dialogue, and I discover something with you. And I didn't really see all this until I started pulling the cotton ball apart, so to speak. But it comes back to me, this theme of je suis Avatar, je suis. So these movies become, if not all movies, but most movies have this interior depth to it that we miss as long as we see the movie as an it. But when the shift happens, the metaphorical shift is, and you can't really make it, you have to invite it. You have to say, I don't know, what is the meaning here? What is the truth here? I'm not going to lock it into, it's just a story about some real people or fictitious people. It's an it and I'm over here. And then this big gap between the two, you see. If my intention is for wholeness, is my intention to wake up to my true self, which is the world in me. You are the world is you. You are the movie is you. You see, that is unity. That is the healing of the divorce between you and the world. The divorce between you and the world. You see, that is the original wound. The divorce between you and the world, you and your body, you and your own experience. That is the divorce. The wound. The lance in the side of Christ. The wound that won't heal in the Fisher King of Arthur, King Arthur, you see. The wound that won't heal. So Frank here is our metaphorical hero who is trying to heal the wound by creating new identities, one after the other. And there's tremendous energy in these identities because there is a temporary healing. So when the healing occurs, the energy that is lost and wasted in the division, in the effort to heal, you see, in that new identity, there is a temporary, a momentary release of tremendous energy. And we experience this all the time. So you're sitting around the house and we need a paint job, and somebody comes up with, let's paint the house, and that will heal this split, you see, between between the old and the new. So it's a new idea. We can make the house look beautiful. We can restore unity. We can restore the house to its original pristine Garden of Eden, you see. That single idea, we can do that. So now you get to paint, and you get going, and you maybe paint all day long and all night and all weekend. You got to get it done. You paint the whole house. Tremendous energy in that idea, you see. And then, oh wait, there's a little spot over there we missed. Well, I'll get around to it. And maybe 2 years later, you finally get around to painting that spot. Why did you? Well, the energy from the idea is gone. The energy to paint the house was in the new idea, but as soon as it became an old idea, soon the energy was not there. So it took tremendous energy. I know I've done this to paint that spot you missed before, you see. But anyway, that's just an example of this tremendous energy that comes from the creation of an idea that transcends and includes the pair of opposites. Heals the divorce, you see. And so I think the movie really was about this. Well, I don't know if they even knew this. I see it that each one of Frank Abagnale's identities generated this tremendous energy and fun and excitement, and people believed him. And he got away with extreme situations where a regular person would be caught, you see. You caught me, you see. So he created the world. Each of these identities was a world. He created worlds and then lived in it. And of course, he funded that world by making people believe his checks were good. You see. So he goes one after another until the reason for it all died. When his fathers died, there was no more hope of restoring unity to the world. And so reality came home. Put the cuffs on, I'll do my time, you see. And of course then he returns to the world and lives a normal, happy ever after. Well, I don't know. But anyway, he returns to the world as part of the world instead of being an identity theft, you see. So he found his ground, you see. And he created his own family. So in his life then, he healed the divorce and created his own family rather than trying to repair his past family. Anyway, thank you for this little journey into To Catch Me If You Can. And I think that rings true to me because we're all in some form of self-deception that wants to be caught and yet refuses to be caught. We don't want to have the lights turned on with our hand in the cookie jar, you see. And of course, I don't want to get into this, but the biggest catch me if you can is Trump. So he's like running in front of the whole universe and the media and the lawyers or the FBI, and they're trying to catch Trump in his identity theft of the president. He's pretending to be the president. He's captured the identity of the president and he's running with it, cashing bad checks. Catch me if you can. And the bloodhounds are on his trail, catching the scent. Catch me if you can. Thank you so much for dropping in.